This is Joe, which is astrophoto.com, and today I'm going to show you how to get Nina to control your observatory roof. So welcome back to part 2 of automating your observatory. And this mess of cables behind me and wires, this is my prototype for getting Nina to actually control your roof opening and closing. So I'm actually able to add the roof opening in my sequence and then also have it park the scope and then close the roof after it's done. So I wanted to give a special shout out to Bruce Garner. He saw my original video on automating your observatory. I'll post that right here. If you haven't seen it yet, you want to check that out. Anyway, we got to talking and he had already done something very similar, if not exactly the same as what I'm trying to do. So he posted a couple videos on his YouTube channel and I went over there and in the comments we got to talking. And he was very helpful, and I really appreciate this, Bruce. You kind of helped me get over the hurdle that I was facing with this entire project. So anyway, I'm going to show you what I've done. It's not just a big ball of wires and mess back here. There's actually something here. And I've even got USB cables strung across the observatory, and I need to get all this cleaned up, but I wanted to show you this first before I dressed it up real nice, because then it would be really hard to see. I'm also going to be joined today by Glenn from the Astrobloke channel because he's interested in doing the same thing, and I want to see if I could instruct him from here in Colorado over outside of London and see if he can manage to do the same thing. I'm sure he can. But I thought it'd be an interesting video nonetheless. So let's get started. So we are going to start with the hardware. And the first thing that I started with was this Arduino Uno. And that is the board that's on the bottom. It's relatively inexpensive. And you can get them on Amazon. I'll post a link in the description below where to get all of this equipment. The next thing, the board that's sitting on top of the Arduino Uno is what they call a relay shield. And the relay shield is where the outputs go. And they follow this cable here. And again, this is just my prototype of everything. And they go into the board on my gate motor. I'm hoping that the focus picks this up. But you can see that all you need is a normally open and ground cable. Now, the inputs on the Arduino Uno, you have the USB cable, and at the moment I didn't have a long one, but I've since rectified that, and I've just got it slung across the observatory in a very dangerous place, actually, and I've tripped over it several times. But beyond that, you've also got the inputs to the sensors for the roof. Now, what the sensors do is they let you know, or they let the Arduino know, and then hence the programming code, and then Nina, when the roof is actually open and when it's closed. Now, I'm going to show you that, if you could tell from the mess of cables, I do have the sensor connected here. Now, of course, this is all temporary again. And I've got one sensor here, and that's the closed sensor. And so when the roof is closed, and I'll show you that in a minute, this sensor and the other sensor hook up. Now, as you can follow the cable going this way, you'll see that it goes outside of the observatory through that little hole. And I'll show you that as well here. So here we are on the outside of the observatory with the roof open. And here's the sensor. And the sensor needs to be around a half an inch or closer, maybe a quarter of an inch together. So that's not too far apart. It's not super close, but it was a good position for me to mount. And this is when my roof is in the open position. So this is your open sensor. Now I'll show you with the roof open where I have the closed sensor mounted. Now the closed sensor is mounted to just a scrap piece of wood I had for an overhang, so it matches up with the one inside. And this is just the magnetic piece that tells the sensor that the roof is either making connection or not. And I'll go ahead and close the roof and we could see what it looks like when it's inside. I just love that button. Can't get enough of the button. So as the roof closes, you'll see that sensor make contact. See, I mean, it doesn't really make contact, but it's very close. It's actually closer than the one outside. And now the Arduino board knows that the roof is in the closed position based on these sensors. And I will go over the wiring diagram and the programming next. But we're going to get with Glenn and help him wire all this up as well. And then we'll go over the programming together. So I've taken some wood screws and I've screwed the base Arduino Uno board with its plastic shield on into the side of the 2x4 just underneath my gate opener. And I just used a couple screws, one here and one here. I've got a few more holes, but my master plan is to make a 3D print enclosure to enclose all of this and then secure it to the board. So, but for now, getting this set up, I'm just doing it like this. So first step is to mount the Arduino board. Next, we're going to take our relay board and we're going to set it into the Arduino board. When you first get this, the pins are a little bit hard to line up, but once you've lined up the pins, you should be able to get the board to slide in on top of the other pins. Here is the relay shield now correctly mounted onto the Arduino board. I wanted to mention that I saw that the pins right here coming out of this relay are very close to the shield of the USB power input. What I did was I clipped the leads down as far as I could, and before when I had it lined up, I had placed a little bit of anti-static film in between these two, and I just cut a piece from the bag that the relay shield came in. I don't think that it's needed at this point. They're not really touching, but they're very close, and if I hadn't have cut those leads, they'd probably be touching, so you want to be careful about that. So the next thing we're going to do to dress this up is to add this screw shield. And I got this separately off of Amazon, and the screw shield goes in here, and you got to get the pins lined up, and then you just push it in. What this does is, instead of putting the pin that I had in my prototype just directly in, gives you some screw holes to mount the wire directly in. So here we have all of the components that we need to make this work. We have our Arduino Uno right here. We have the relay shield sitting on top of it, and I've got the screw shield sitting on top of this. So our first connection, I'm going to connect the open roof position up to the first pin, which is pin number 11. And we're going to tighten it down. And this is why you have the screw shield. Now what I recommend is that you put all of your cables together before you plug this into the board. But I found doing it this way at the moment makes it much easier for you to see what I'm doing because it's mounted up on the Arduino itself. Okay, our next sensor is going to go into 12. This sensor is the sensor for when the roof is supposed to be closed. Our cable for the sensor inside, and close it, tighten it up. And lastly, we want to connect our ground to where it says ground. So these are our only inputs. We have 3 inputs. Number 11 is going to the roof open sensor. Number 12 is going to the roof close sensor, and ground is going to ground, and the ground on the other side is connected to both grounds on the sensors. I wanted to show my control board. Now everyone's control board is going to be different, so I just wanted to show that. And I wanted to show that the ground is going to ground. I'm not sure if you could see the board from here with this camera angle, but you need to look at the pinout on your gate motor, and you need to find the ground and what they call the OSC, and it stands for open, stop, closed, and it's normally open, and you want to connect that, you want to connect your hot wire to the normally open. And now we're going to go back to the relay shield, and I don't need to install a screw shield on this side because the relays already have one. And I've chosen relay 3 because it's readily available here, and I'm going to use the normally open, and that corresponds with the normally open going into the controller, and I'm going to set that in here. And next we'll do the ground, and the ground's always in the middle of this relay. So there's your pinout. You've got your normally open and your ground from relay number 3 going into your gate control motor, and you've got your open sensor going into pin 11. You've got your closed sensor going into pin 12, and you've got the ground of both of those connected together, those sensors, going into the board labeled ground.
Hey Glenn, how are you?
Hi Joe. Yeah, I'm really good, thanks mate. You good?
I'm awesome today. I'm super excited because I've been wanting to get this completed for a long time, and we finally got it figured out.
Me too. It's been a lot of testing, Joe. My roof's never opened and closed so much in all of its life. Well, opened, stayed open. Closed, refused to open. Said it was closed when it was open.
I know. It's a lot of trial and error, but we've got it.
Yeah, we've got it.
Now I just like to go over the software installation for all the viewers that are looking to do the same thing.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I've got an Arduino board here, Joe, so we can go through that process of what we do and how we get it on the board, and how we get the program on the board as well at the end. So that's cool.
Great. So
all right, then.
I emailed you some code.
Yes.
And I've got it shared on a Google Drive, and I will put that in the description below for the video.
Yep.
So everybody can get that code.
Mm-hmm.
The first thing that we need to do to get the code onto the Arduino and to connect to it is to download the Arduino software.
Right. So I'm on the Arduino website.
And then you'll want to go to software.
Yep.
At the top there, that tab. Yeah. And go ahead and download that Arduino IDE 1.8.15.
It's best to get it on the apps, isn't it?
Oh, you know what? I ended up getting mine on the app too.
And there it is, Arduino IDE. That's what they want.
Yeah.
Let me get.
And install. And all of this is really fast. I'm not even sure you'll have to fast forward anything in here. Should have installed it, and then
it's just installed, and I've just launched it. So
okay,
it comes up with launch, and it's saying, yep, do you want to allow access, which I do.
And you can minimize there, close that.
It's
now.
Behind, that's why I'm going to close that.
Yeah.
So here's the Arduino ready to go.
Okay, and what you want to do is take the file that I sent you, and you could either open it in Notepad and copy and paste the contents in here in this window, or you can copy the file that you get when you go there and open it. You can copy it to your computer and then open it.
Yeah, so I've got mine in downloads. So if I say open file, and I go to downloads, and
Find a sketch.
there it is. It's sketch, but this one here.
Right. You'll want the one that says sketch. And there it is.
Okay, Joe,
Go
I've got
off
the
tools.
Arduino, so I'm just going to
Okay.
plug in the USB to it, which is connected to my computer,
All right.
and it's pinged up that it's got a little green light on it as well. Don't know if you
Cool.
can see that. There, oh, look, there it is. So it's all ready to go. So that's connected. So now I go to tools.
Yes, go to tools, and it should tell you what COM port you are connected, or serial port that you're connected to.
So he's saying COM3.
Okay.
So that's on COM3. Okay, so what do I do now, Joe? Do I need to load this into the actual Arduino, yeah?
So now you click on the arrow, the button with the arrow inside of it,
Yeah,
And-
this one here, and it says upload next to it. So click that.
and it should send this program to the Arduino
That's
board.
it, yeah. So it's
With the
saying
relay on
compiling sketch, uploading, and it's now said it's done uploading. One question I wanted to ask you, Joe, when I was doing this, I noticed there's a tick here which says verify. Is that just to verify that what you've got here is actually uploaded correctly? Is that what that does?
I think that it verifies the syntax, the program. So
Oh.
if you've got syntax errors or something,
I found that
It-
by ticking it,
let
it
you
just
know.
verifies it all, and I don't know if that's something
Right.
you've got to do or not, but it
you
doesn't.
don't have to, but it's quicker than loading it. So if you want to check it before you load it.
Ah, okay, yeah, okay. Anyway,
Alright.
that's all in, Joe. So that looks good. So
And that's all we need to do with this.
I can close
Um,
that down now, yeah.
we can close that down.
Okay.
And the next thing that you're going to need is the, you need two pieces. You need the rolling roof computer interface for ASCOM.
Right. Should we
It's
do that
called
first?
RRCI. So yes, let's go to this page. We're gonna have all the links in the description below.
Yes, everything will be there for everyone. So we scroll down on this, and there's the
It's
ASCOM
about this
driver.
project. And
So there's the ASCOM
ASCOM
driver and
driver-
Sky plugin can be found here, and the ASCOM driver can be found here.
and that's where you want to click right there.
The ASCOM driver.
Yes, and that will get you. It automatically downloads that rci.zip file, and of course you'll want to extract that and run it. Or I think you can just run it from inside the zip.
Yes, you can, can't you? You could just run it here, can I?
I believe so. Yes. You'll
It's
need
just
to click
making
on-
sure I want to run it, and I do.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm just installing everything in. And that's the ASCOM driver installed in there, Joe. So that's good.
All right. That's it
Excellent.
for that program.
So that's that
And
done.
we have just one more program to install,
Mhm.
and you need to go to Interactive Astronomy, and under the support page, you're here, and it's the Skyroof software setup.
This
Skyroof
one
setup.
here.
Yes.
I'll let that. Make sure it's downloaded in. They're all very quick to download in, which is good.
Very tiny programs. They're really just drivers.
Right, bear with me a second, Joe. Let me just click this. So I've clicked download on that, Joe. I do think it's gone behind. There we are. That's where it is.
Okay.
So we need to say next. It's always, I love it when things go behind.
Yeah, but behind the focus
Yeah.
window.
It's supposed to be a window. You're supposed to be able to see through windows. So just clicking through these, making sure they're
There's-
installing.
Correct. There's really nothing to change.
And then there's install the control motor driver.
Yes, and we'll need to install that too. That's it, connecting to the RCI ASCOM that we
Yeah.
put in.
Okay. And that's everything installed. So I can exit. There we go, and it's just come across, and it's now connected. And this is a standard motor that we use for these, isn't it? With the
Yes, it's
rack and
right.
pinion, and this is the controller. So you
So
can
this
actually
program,
control it with this, can't you?
you can control it with this, but the end result is to get Nina to control it. You do need this program in order for Nina to control it.
Yeah, Nina works through this like Nina does work through EQ mod for with the telescope controls. So it's
Correct.
the same sort of thing, but it's just doing the roof with that, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
So that's all you need. You just need to wire up the Arduino now in your observatory.
Yep.
With the sensors, and there's 2 different boards, motor boards, Glenn, and I sent you a link.
Yep, I've got them here because me and you have got 2 different types, haven't we?
Yes.
So I've got this one, which is known as the standard control board.
Right, and what you'll need to do, well, go ahead and explain what you do.
Yeah, so there was a slight difference with your one. You had a open, close, and stop section on your board, and I don't have that. I only have the separate ones, which is open, close, stop here, and the COM port. So I have to connect to close and COM, and then there's a 3 dim switches here. And number 1, it says here, if you switch number 1 on, it turns it into that one setting, then that gives you the open, close, stop. But I don't actually have the stop facility on mine. I only have open and close. So there's a slight difference. And your board, if I scroll down, is the intelligent board. And if you want to talk us through that, Joe.
Right. So on the intelligent control board, really it's just pin number 5, which says OSC, which stands for open, stop, and close, and you'll connect that to 1 and then the normally open right next to it for the common ground. And if you've got a board like yours, Glenn, you'll want to follow Glenn's video if you've got a board like his, and you'll want to follow my video if you've got a board like mine on the actual wiring part of it.
There's just a few little differences with the sensors and things, but yeah, they both work.
And there may be other boards out there, but these are the only 2 that we know about.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that they're very similar boards. They're very similar. If you've got a different board, between our 2 videos, you should be able to figure it out if you've got a different.
Yeah, I think it'll cover all different types. One of the differences which might help people, Joe, is with my motor, I've got like a manual stopping sensors at either end with like ramps that hit a sensor that hangs down, whereas on yours it's magnets.
Yes.
I'm wondering whether that's if you get one with magnets, you're going to get this type of board, and if you get one with the manual, you'll get my type of board.
That's possible. I mean, I can't tell you for sure.
No, I don't know either. They don't seem to list what type of board you've got on the different models that are available. So, yeah.
So if you haven't got your motor yet, and you want to get the intelligent board motor, I'm not sure how you can tell. I think we just both bought a motor, and mine came with one board, yours came with another board, but we got them both working.
So we certainly have. Right. Well, Joe, I think that's all of the software, isn't it?
That's it.
Excellent. Right. So brilliant. Thanks ever so much for your help with that, Joe. And I'll go and make sure everything's in place. And then when it's not working, I'll give you a call.
For sure. You can. I'm gonna wire mine up, and you can wire yours up, and then we'll show how Nina controls them both.
Yeah.
In each other's videos.
Yeah. Excellent. Thanks ever so much, Joe. Brilliant work.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks, Glenn.
Yeah, see you soon. Bye, mate.
Okay, bye.
Okay, now that we have all of our wiring done and we have all of our software installed, it's time to make the final settings in the Skyroof application and in Nina, and then test it. Okay, so after you've loaded everything in, you want to run the Skyroof application. And the first thing you want to do is go into Tools and Settings. You want to make sure that all of these checkboxes are unchecked. And then you'll want to go to the roof and you'll want to say Connect. and it should pick up your RRCI roof controller. It might come up with the box as well for the driver, the RRCI driver, and in there you just want to tell it that it's one button for OSC and not 3 buttons. And that's it. You can close it and you can click on Auto Connect from here. And then you want to connect your mount. And the same thing will happen here. The first time you click this button, it's going to come up and ask you for an ASCOM driver, and you're going to want to pick the HEQ5/6. And you'll also want to say Auto Connect. And then in this checkbox, you're going to want to say Use ASCOM to detect park scope. So make sure that box is checked. And then you can click Save and Exit. And right away, you could tell if it's working because the roof will say closed if it's closed, which it is, and the scope parked will be green if it's parked and yellow if it's not. You'll also notice that your receive and transmit down here will be flashing blue, which means that everything's good to go. Now you can use this to control the roof just as well as Nina. So we could open the roof and you'll see that the roof starts to open. And once it's opened, this will change to open from closed. And the scope is still parked. Now, this is the cool part about having the ASCOM driver connect to your scope, because you can tell it to unpark, which I will. I'm going to unpark my telescope to the home position. And so as the telescope moves to the home position, you'll notice that the scope unparked is now yellow. It says scope unparked instead of scope parked, and it's yellow instead of green. And as soon as the scope goes to the home position, I will tell it to close the sky roof control panel, the roof. And what'll happen is that it should park the scope for you. So here we go. We're going to click on that. And as you can see, the scope is parking. And normally my roof clears my scope. However, when I have the dew shield on, which is usually, it won't. It'll hit the dew shield and cause it to either fall off the telescope or move something or end up breaking the dew shield. So I do use this feature just the way it is. You'll hear the beeping to let you know that the scope is now parked and the roof is going to close. The reason that I don't have the dew shield on currently is because even though the sun is at our backs, I'm afraid to get any sunlight in my scope and damage my camera sensor. So I've got the cover on it at the moment for this while we're playing with it in the middle of the afternoon. Okay, and now you'll see that the scope is parked and it is green and that it says the roof is closed. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to go into Nina and we're going to see if we can control it that way. So we're going to open up Nina, and you need to use the nightly build. The release version and the beta version do not have the scope control in it, or I'm sorry, the dome control in it. So you need to use the nightly build. And I want to make note that the latest nightly build, for whatever reason, is not working. It crashes when you try and use the dome. So I'm on nightly version 97, and I believe that the current version as of today, as of making this video, is 137. I have, through Glenn and one of his contacts, requested that this be looked at from the developers of Nina, and they are currently going over the error logs that we've sent them for the latest build and also this working build, and hopefully they can have it sorted out very soon for the next build or two. So once in here, we're going to say connect all, And of course we don't need to really connect the camera or all the other things, but I'm just going to say connect all, and I'll just minimize PHD2. And we're going to go over to a sequencer, and we're going to quickly make a sequence. And what we're going to do is we're going to do a sequential instruction set, and we're going to first of all open the shutter, and we're going to put that above here in the start area, and then we're going to unpark the scope as soon as I get to scope. There we go. We're going to unpark the scope next, and then we're going to tell the telescope to slew someplace. It's the middle of the day, so we can't really take any images, but we're going to we'll have it go to RA 16, and maybe the deck will put something like 50. All right, that should slew us up close to the home position or thereabouts. And then the next thing we're going to do, just for testing purposes, is we're going to park the scope down under the end area, and now we're going to close the roof after the scope is parked. So we're going to open the shutter, which is to open the roof. We're going to unpark the scope. We're going to slew. Normally you would cool the camera. You would take your images that you're going to take, then you would warm the camera or whatnot, park the scope, close the shutter. But we're just leaving off the part really about taking images because it's daytime. And let's give it a shot. We're going to play the sequence, and the roof's going to open up. Very nice. Then the scope should unpark, and it should now slew to right ascension 16 hours, which should be right about the middle here. And we're going to take our deck to 50 degrees, which might already actually be very similar to that. All right, and now, you know, if this was real, we'd start doing our imaging, start doing an autofocus and whatnot, guiding, imaging. And now after the scope settles, it's got 2 seconds, and now it should go into the park scope. And after we park the scope, it should close the roof. And I wanted to mention while we're waiting for the scope to park is that in part 3, sometime down the line of this series, I'm working on sourcing some very cheap, and I say cheap, but I mean inexpensive weather sensors, rain sensors, and maybe a cloud cover camera. And I want to incorporate that in here as well. And now the roof's closed. Or closing. And that's it. Our sequence is over and the roof is closed. So I really hope you found this video useful. If you really need to control your roof while you're not here, it's a very viable and inexpensive way to do it. And it works. It works pretty well, actually. As long as the latest nightly build of Nina is working with the roof control, you're all set. Please check out the description below. I've got links to all the software and the hardware that I used. I did try multiple different types of hardware, and I found that I had issues with everything except what I've shown in this video. So I'm not saying the other hardware won't work, but if at all possible, try and grab the hardware from the links that I leave in the description below. I also want to just give credit to Bruce and the gentleman who first created this. the program that I went and modified slightly. I will also leave links to where I find all of their information in the description below as well. If this video helped, please smash that like button, and we'll see you in the next video.